So recently, Leanne Likes and Simo and I did a collaboration 2 videos where they had 8 fountain pen questions and they talked about it, and at the end they invited viewers to join in on the conversation, and I thought I'd like to do that. So I've got the 8 questions here and I'm going to answer them and talk about my fountain pens. So question 1 is, when and how did your fountain pen journey begin? So I guess it was about 2021. I had been using these Parker jotters with gel refills in them. I liked them. I was collecting different colors of them. But then my mom found a fountain pen jotter and got it for me. And I kind of liked it. It wasn't like, I wasn't super in love, but I used it. I guess wrote it dry. And then eventually I started looking online at fountain pen stuff and found the Goulet Pen Company videos and just fell down that rabbit hole. And it's, I guess, been all downhill from there. But it's been great. So, question 2, what were your favorite inks in the beginning, and what are your favorite go-to inks now? Parker inks. I really liked the ballpoint and gel Parker inks, so I kind of just stuck with that and got a bottle of Quink Blue Black. And it was very quickly my favorite ink, and still is. Now I have both of the other ones. I got the black and the blue here, so I got the blue black, the blue and the black. I like them. They're very low maintenance. They dry quickly. They look pretty good. The blue black has a nice kind of greenish to it. The black is a bit light. It's kind of like a really dark gray, and the blue is a blue. Yeah, I've tried different inks, but those are my go-tos. So question 3 is, how have your ink and pen tastes changed over time? I guess like from the beginning to the end, they haven't really changed that much, at least with the ink, because I kind of stayed with the Parker, but for a while I was kind of trying like brighter inks, like pink and like like a bright green kind of color. And they're good, they're fun, but for like a whole page of writing, it's just not the greatest. It's just like, I don't know, it's not as easy to read back. So I've stayed with the dark blues basically. And as far as pens, I started with the really small, just like metal pens, and like this Muji pen, metal, and I like the kind of brighter metal colors too. But now I'm liking the more specifically burgundy with gold. I have several pens in this color, and it's my favorite. And at this point, it's kind of like, unless there's something really special about a pen, and if it doesn't come in burgundy and gold, I won't get it, because that's just, for whatever reason, the color. And I like the lighter pens, the plastic light pens. It's just easier to hold and use. The metal ones like this Jinhao get really, really heavy, and they're kind of fatiguing to use, especially if you're like sitting in an awkward position. It's just too much sometimes. So I went from the metal pens to light burgundy and gold. Are there inks and pens you have yet to try but would like to? No inks really. I have found the inks I like, and I'm not really big on trying different colors of inks. I found the inks I like and I just stick with them. As far as pens, realistically, I'd like to try a Pilot Custom 823 to see if I like it and would want it. But just for fun, I'd love to try like Namikis and other like super luxury pens just to like experience it, you know? Not something I would ever realistically be able to own, but it'd just be cool to kind of see what it's like, you know? And question 5, what is your Holy Grail pen? It is a pen that doesn't exist and I don't think has ever existed, but I want a Burgundy Custom 823. Like I said before, I just like the burgundy and gold, and I don't like the brown Custom 823, and I don't like black pens with gold trim. So it's also a really expensive pen, so I won't want to buy it if it's not like exactly what I want. So, I mean, if Pilot ever comes out with a burgundy one, that'll be my grail. But for now, I don't really have a grail because it doesn't exist. Question 6. How many pens do you currently own? I have 16 different pens, and I think it's 5 of them that I kind of just want to part with, because they're just not quite what I want. And I also have just like a whole like bag of different nibs and things, so I don't know if that really counts. But yeah, currently 16 whole pens. It's a bit more than what I'd like to have. I'd prefer to have just a smaller amount of pens that I really, really love. And question 7, do you have a limit on pens or inks in your collection? Is it a number? Is it a feeling? When do you know that you have reached your maximum? I don't really have a limit. I'm kind of just really picky about what I get. I'm kind of, done with my exploratory phase of, like just trying a bunch of different like styles of pens, because I've kind of figured out, what it is I like. So I guess it's mostly a feeling of like, is it too much, Yeah, I guess I just prefer to have a few really good pens that I would be happy with writing with for a long time. So what I've been recently doing is inking up my different pens, and if I finish with the fill and I'm not like excited and wanting to refill it and keep using it, then I'm just like, okay, I don't want this in my collection anymore, and can use what I learned about that pen and the things I didn't like about it going forward into my collecting. So yeah, like for example, this Jinhao 51A or whatever, I don't like the hooded nib, so I'm not going to get any hooded nibs. And this Metropolitan, I don't like how backweight it is, and I don't like how much smaller the grip section is, so going forward I'm not going to get any pens shaped like this. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of my limits. And I'm kind of having more fun in the hobby with less of the collecting and more of, I guess, the like, kind of customizing stuff. Like for this Jinhao, I didn't like the nib it came with, so I ground it into an italic nib. So that's, you know, a way to make this pen like a more interesting part of my collection and, you know, gain more experience in the fountain pen hobby. Another crazy thing I've done is I 3D printed a grip for a pen. So this was originally a ballpoint, and I 3D printed this whole grip section here and put a Kaweco nib in there. So I guess that's a little off topic of the question, but you know, it's just the limits to my collection are just kind of what makes me happy having in my collection. So if it doesn't make me happy having it, then I won't have it in my collection, I guess. So question 8 is, consequently, what would you do if another pen or ink came along? I guess with ink, if it's like a cool ink, like a special, like a themed ink, then I'll get it, like the Colorverse New Horizon ink set. I really like that space probe. I have a model up there of it, so I just thought that was really cool. So it was cool enough to add to my collection, even though the colors of the inks aren't exactly like what I would otherwise want to use, but the theming of it was just so cool that I had to get it. And as far as pens, I just, you know, I look at it, make sure, like, if I'm going to add it to my collection, I make sure it has a new purpose or like a new beauty. So for example, I have this Platinum 3776 Century. Of course, it's burgundy and gold. It has an ultra extra fine, so that's like a pretty specialty nib. So this is, you know, it's pretty unique as far as a pen that you can just buy. And it's a pretty, I guess, normal shape. It's simple. And another pen I was thinking of getting was I think it was like the Sailor Pen of the Year 2021. It was basically a red and gold pen. Yeah, so it was kind of redundant when I have this, you know. It's a modern gold nibbed pen, cartridge converter. The nib isn't even special on that Sailor, really. So it was just redundant, and it wasn't really that much more beautiful than this one. Another example is these two pens. They're both Schaefer's. This one is, of course, the Snorkel, my favorite pen. So it's pretty unique with the filling mechanism. You know, the snorkel comes out and it sucks in the ink. That's pretty unique. But as far as like the writing experience, it's pretty standard. And then at a pen show, I saw this. It doesn't add any unique purpose, but it has a very unique beauty to it, because it has that red and black striated celluloid as well as the Triumph nib. So this pen is just like a kind of new level of beautiful to me. So I allowed that into my collection because it just makes me happy with how beautiful it is, even though the writing experience is really no different than pretty much any other pen. You know, it's a stiff nib. I personally prefer stiff nibs. So yeah, yeah. So I just try to keep my collection pretty simple, I guess. Like, I don't have a lot of redundant pens. So if there's a pen or an ink that does something new or something even more beautiful, I'll add it to my collection. And if I feel like I have too many, I'll try to part with it in some way. Or because I don't want to have a bunch of pens that I don't use. I want to have pens that I would happily just keep inking up and keep using, because I don't quite appreciate having a collection of really cool pens that just sit there. That's not what a pen is for. It's meant to be used and appreciated and not just sit in a case locked away. So yeah, that was the 8 fountain pen questions. It was pretty fun to think about and answer them. So thanks for watching.